Hello, my name is Julie Mathison. I am the author of books for children and young adults. I'm going to tell you a little bit today about my expenses and my income and what I think works and doesn't. My first book I published in 2020, that was Believe, and it is a middle grade novel. And then in 2021 and 2022, I published Fast Lisa, followed by Alina the Brave, which are young adult fantasies based on Russian folklore. And then in 2023, I published a historical mystery, The Starlit Letter. So over the time that I've been publishing, I have not quite been profitable. I've come relatively close. My most popular books by far has been Believe, my middle grade novel. Most of the books that I have sold because of that have been paperback, and most of them have been on Amazon. And almost all of my sales have really come from Amazon advertising. I have earned on all of my books since I started in 2020, approximately $48,000 in royalties. So, of course, royalties are what I actually receive. It's not the price of the book is more than that, but that's what I've actually received. 46,000 has been from Amazon. The other couple of thousand has been from Ingram Spark, which distributes to other bookstores, Barnes and Noble, libraries, things like that. I've also earned a few $1,000s winning awards, writing articles, and other writing related things. So all in all, I've earned about 51,000 since I started my writing business. And my total expenses have been about 67,000. So that puts me a good $15,000 in the red over the course of my business. However, 33,000 of that is the Amazon advertising costs. And so when I look at just contrasting what it costs me to advertise, which is actually what has led to the sale of the books, at least in that vein, it has been profitable with about a $15,000 surplus. The hard costs and all the other costs associated with running my business make up the other 33,000. So essentially, being successful on Amazon has allowed me to at least offset those expenses. Those include things like the production costs of the book. I choose to do much of it myself, so that's helped me keep those costs down. I do sub out the cover design and the copy editing, but I do the interior design myself and basically educated myself about how to upload it to different channels, and basically all the other skills involved are things that I've developed myself in. My philosophy for that has been partly a way to keep costs down, but also that once I learn a set of skills, then I have those skills. If I need to change something, for instance, on my website or with my books, in the interior, I can go in and edit that and then re-upload it myself. So it's also proved to be just more practical and empowering. Most of my sales have been in print, paperback, 13,800 in print, 1,200 in digital. I've had about 320,000 page reads. I do use Kindle Unlimited for my books, or at least back and forth. And audiobooks, I've sold a couple hundred audiobooks. I've put 2 of my 4 books into audio format. So what I would end is finding ways to keep those hard costs down. The more you can spend your money on the things that actually sell your books, like advertising. The monthly costs really add up. I'm sure that you've noticed this in your personal finances. When you're paying, for instance, for MailChimp, I think I pay close to $50 a month for my email list. I have a couple of thousand email list subscribers, but right now I'm in the process of researching cheaper options. So doing that legwork does pay off. I canceled Shutterstock. I realized I just wasn't using it enough. So I make time to, on a regular basis, kind of do an accounting of what I'm using and what I'm not using and what is not optimized, and then try to make the changes that I can. I've invested quite a bit in contests. You need to be careful with contests but if you're going to submit your book to 4, 5, 6, 7, pretty soon that adds up. So really doing the research on contests, some of the questions I asked myself were, what was the credibility of the organization? I really wanted to receive recognition from organizations that examined not just self-published books, or if they did, organizations like BookLife that were very reputable at that. But then there's other contests that also judge independent academic presses, small presses, for instance, Forward Reviews, the Eric Hoffer Book Award. So those are the organizations that I have gravitated toward, because there are a ton of contests out there that are aimed at self-published authors, and not all of them carry kind of the same maybe credibility. So I would be pretty careful doing your research about awards and choose just a small handful of ones that really speak to you and then give it a shot. I really think that if you talk to 10 authors, you might find 10 different strategies, 10 different ways that they've gone about being profitable, 10 different ways that they approach what they spend money on, what they don't. But for me, the big things have been, can I keep the hard expenses of the production of each book down by learning to do some of those skills myself? And what am I really using that costs me money on a monthly basis? And how can I get those costs under control? So food for thought. The smartest place that I've invested my dollars has been Amazon advertising. It's been really the one place that I find that I can spend money on advertising and I can pretty much control the result. Not all of my books have I been nearly as successful at advertising on Amazon as my middle grade novel, but there's always things that you can try to do. And it's pretty easy to not let those advertising costs get kind of out of control. The other thing that's really worked for me as an investment has been contests. Now, I feel gratified. I've had all 4 books have won awards or been shortlisted for awards. And that has allowed me then to put that verbiage onto my various interfaces, onto my website, onto my book pages for each of my books on Amazon. And it really helps me get over that credibility hurdle. When you're independently published, courting contests, first of all, will help you try to produce your best work. And if you can win those contests, you can put that medal on your book. You can put that accolade in the verbiage of your ads. And you can say you're an award-winning author. And you can say it legitimately, especially if you pick contests that are not just sort of vanity contests, but ones that carry real weight. Oh, I've also done a BookBub featured deal. You can Google that, BookBub featured deals. Those can be a great way to get a sales bump. I did mine for Believe. That's certainly something worth looking into. So my advice for those of you who may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed or discouraged by the cost of independently publishing and the uncertainties involved with it, I guess I would just say to keep it in context. Those of us who love to write and want to get our work out into the world, whether we're independently publishing our work, going through a small press, or even going through a traditional press, it's a hard road for most of us. And for most of us, it's a labor of love. So I guess doing a little soul searching to ask yourself, what are your reasons for self-publishing? What are your reasons for writing? What are your goals? What are your ambitions? And that will help you clarify how much you're willing to spend and kind of how to look at it. So it's going to be a case-by-case basis, person by person. And those are questions you can only answer for yourself. There are lots of examples of self-published authors that do make 6-figure incomes. I just attended a presentation by Jane Friedman at the Willamette Writers Conference. Amazing keynote speech. But she talked about the publishing realities writ large. And the truth is that independent publishing just is getting more and more and more market share. And there's an expanding creator economy, and we can be a part of that. So it comes down to what you want to accomplish, and then getting out there and seeing who else is doing what you want to do well, and just trying to learn from them. Maybe set yourself a budget of what you're willing to lose, and then at least you have some wiggle room. And hopefully you, in the process of discovery, find those things that work for you.